Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we're going to do the top 5 Chanel July perfumes. It's summer, you guys. Super breezy. I mean, I'm in full-blown summer mode. Pinky, pastel-y vibes from blue to pink to lilac. I even have a little crystal-y, look at this little cutie. Orange, pink, lilac, Chanel thing. Oh, you can twist it actually. It also has a little bag back here. I prompted my AI bubbles to generate a camellia backdrop for the occasion. Beachy vibes, blue skies, camellia petals flying all over the place. Technically, it's one of those flowers that grows in colder months, but whatever. It's a fantasy world, so why not create a fantasy land for it? So check this out. Look at all the petals flying in the sky. I mean, I'm just in awe of of what Bubbles manages to do. Of course, you have to prompt Bubbles to do it first, and then Bubbles does it. Okay, so subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today. Gain access to extra perks. You can also follow me on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together there as well for extra perks. Thank you to all the members and patrons who have already pledged. You guys, thumb up the video and let's get to it. The first one, I know these are camellias. And technically, if we really wanted to go into the direction of choosing a fragrance for July that is kind of camellia oriented in terms of fantasy, because most camellia flowers don't have a smell, but Jacques Polge did create in the 90s and then re-released in the early 2000s as a limited edition a fragrance called Un Fleur de Chanel, a flower of Chanel, or a Chanel flower, which is a fantasy iteration of what a camellia would smell if it had a specific smell, in particular the camellia that Coco liked, which did not have a smell. But that's not the one we're choosing today. We're choosing one that is not so hard to get. And it's not a camellia, but nevertheless, it is an impossible flower to synthesize in terms of extracting its smell, turning it into fragrance. So it also has to have a sort of fantasy composition in order to mimic the smell of it for the wearer. For those of us who know how the original flower smells like, you know what I'm talking about. And my first choice for July would be Gardenia by Chanel. I currently am enjoying very much the eau de parfum. However, the extrait is also delicious. The eau de toilette is a little bit too medicinal in my personal opinion, although I do have the eau de toilette as well, but I really, really enjoy. I've gone through many bottles of the eau de parfum, and I bathe in this. I don't know, 30 sprays sometimes from the 200 ml bottle of this that I have when I go out, because the more you spray this, the closer you get to that poisonous green accord of a real gardenia, and you only know how that smells if you are crazy enough to let a gardenia grow indoors, because the smell is intoxicating. It covers up everything. So, but gardenias don't really like wind drafts, like blasts of gushes of wind. So that can kind of, make them kick the bucket. So they like a place where there's not too much wind. So if you're going to leave a gardenia indoors, but close to a balcony or a door, so you can open up and air the room a little bit, they don't really like that air kind of gushing in and out. So it's kind of a tricky plant, right? But if you have it indoors and it kind of blooms indoors and there's no gushes of wind anywhere, you're going to get a room stuffed with that green, poisonous, intoxicating, in my personal opinion, in the best of ways, smell of the gardenia. And Coco Chanel also allegedly loved it. Now, everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. Coco allegedly loved gardenias and did, in some cases, keep them indoors, and she did not have any problem with the smell of them just kind of filling up the room more and more and more. This is a fantasy iteration of a gardenia. It is coconutty in a way, as oh so many gardenias are, or renditions of gardenias are. The Eau de Parfum was released from 2016 onwards under the guidance of Olivier Polge, the son of Jacques Polge, who curated the new formulations of the Eau de Toilette and Extrait of Gardenia, which were originally created in the 20s by Ernest Beau, Coco's first perfumer. So technically, Gardenia goes back in time, way back in time. This is one of the OG Chanel fragrances from the 20s while Coco was still alive. And while back in the day, if you were to hunt down, well, it's difficult because even hunting down really old batches of Gardenia from the time of Coco's life, the liquid has turned black almost, you know. I don't think you can find a surviving bottle of Gardenia from, let's say, the 20s or 30s by Chanel that is still somewhat intact and preserves its original smell. I mean, they have gone very rancid and dark. But, you know, if we were to envision how Gardenia used to smell in the 20s, I mean, it's probably a little bit more intense. It would go a little bit darker and it would probably go more alcoholic, oily, heavy synthetic. You know, aldehydes are a symbol, a signature of Chanel fragrances, but you know, aldehydes also evolve. Technology for aldehydes also evolves. They were highly volatile back in the 20s and in the 10s. With time, you know, the pharmacy world and chemists and perfumers alike have managed to tame it a little bit more, or to tame them a little bit more. But they still have a nature to them, you know. So when I think of Gardenia from the 20s, I kind of envision it being a heavier, moodier type of fragrance, right? And also throughout the decades, Chanel had deals with certain hotels. And yeah, you best believe sometimes in some luxury hotels back in the day, you would go in and they would have Gardenia Chanel soaps in the bathroom. Those were the days. Now it's kind of a memory of all of that. And the current version of Gardenia is a gentler, softer, breezier version of this fantasy flower. Now, well, the flower is real. The smell of it in perfume form is a fantasy. But if you do overspray it, it goes into that green poisonous territory, which I adore, which I simply adore. And it is refreshing, invigorating. It is such a vibe for July because it smells of summer. It smells of weddings. A lot of people love to wear the extrait of gardenia to their weddings. It smells of promise of love, positive future, um, you know, walks on the beach, walks in nature, relaxation. I also love to wear gardenia, just like a spritz or a dab of the extrait at night while I go to bed. It's so comforting, soothing, such a soft, delicate, beautiful fragrance, depending on how you dose it, right? And I love it so much that I have all of the concentrations, but I also have the currently, well, a short while ago released, to my surprise, because I was not expecting that, Chanel, the oil of Gardenia, Les Exclusives oil, kind of, they're classifying it as an exclusive slash, in some cases, limited edition, which is scary to me. I don't like when they start doing limited edition stuff because then I'm a little bit more scared to fall in love with the product, thinking, ugh, FOMO, you know, I use up a bottle. By the time I use up the bottle, they're not going to have it anymore. So right now, as I'm not sure yet if the gardenia oil is limited edition or not, I'm kind of not using it every day. I used to, when I just bought the bottle of the oil, I would use it every day. Now I'm like, oh, if this is a limited edition, I'm really falling in love with this one, especially layering the oil with the eau de parfum. It's like a whole other level of joy and pleasure. I mean, it's so beautiful, summery, refreshing, invigorating, but zesty at the same time. I want to say morning after, you know, shower the oil, then afternoon the eau de parfum, and then you got early evening, or you take it to bed with you. So all the time, really, gardenia is fabulous, fabulous. It does stimulate the appetite, though. When I wear gardenia, I feel like I want to eat some sweets, coconut in particular. Who knows why? Because there's coconut in here, probably. So the second one is really connected to jasmine. And depending which part of the world you're in, hot weather in general, jasmine blooms. And some types of jasmine bloom in May, June, some in July, some in August. I've been to all sorts of places and I've smelled a lot of different jasmines, night blooming jasmines, morning blooming jasmines, day blooming jasmines. And the most indolic ones are the ones that bloom in the middle of the night and give that particular indole smell that just kind of fills the air, and especially in the heat of the night in summer where there's like no breeze moving and everything, the air is stale and it just gets drenched with these, indoles from the jasmine that has just bloomed. And uh, very interesting how this next perfume is a little bit dry on the jasmine, but has an invigorating hyacinth that combined with the jasmine really brings the full potential out of this fragrance. That's why I love to wear it in July and in August. And that would be Cristal Eau de Toilette. I do have the new version here. I also have the older version with a different stopper, a different bottle shape. Uh, I love it to bits. You can check out my review of the new version of Cristal as well as the old version of Cristal. This one has gone through some changes, as well as the Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, and Eau Verte concentrations. However, so here's the deal. The Eau de Parfum is amazing, the current version. I love it. But the current version of the Eau de Toilette is much lighter, okay, in my humble opinion. So allegedly. And it kind of takes me to a place where I am missing that jasmine. So wearing this at night in an area where the jasmine blooms, it's just majestic because they just blend together. It almost feels like the jasmine is looking for Cristal and Cristal is looking for jasmine. And when they meet, it's like, boom. Oh, I love Cristal. It's such a beautiful ashtray, Coco Chanel's ashtray accord. The perfumer behind this fragrance is Henri Robert, who came after Ernest Beau, and it was released right after Coco's demise. However, legend wants it. And I personally like to believe that it was developed during her lifetime, and it was kind of like, in my poetry book at least, the a poetic goodbye or homage to Coco Chanel that Henri Robert did because he knew that Coco was fading and he knew her character very well. He worked with her in the 50s. He created Pour Monsieur and he created number 19. So Cristal, the Eau de Toilette, not the Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Parfum came in the 90s and Jacques Polge created the Eau de Parfum. But the Eau de Toilette of Cristal has a sadness to it and a dryness to that ashtray accord of what used to be an overdose of oak moss in this Chypre, now reduced to bare minimum allowed by IFRA regulations. So you still do have listed in the ingredients list the oak moss in Cristal or Evernia furfuracea or prunastri, furfuracea. But it's not as intense in quantity as it used to be in the 70s, right? So since oak moss is also a fixative, especially in Chypre fragrances, if you do get your hands on a 70s iteration of Cristal, that Eau de Toilette, they only had Eau de Toilette in the 70s of Cristal, that is still sealed, unopened, never seen the light of day, you might be lucky. Top notes might be busted. All those citruses that populate the opening of Cristal, they might be gone, but mid to bottom notes are probably, chances are they're still preserved pretty well thanks to the fixative properties of the oak moss. So you might be lucky and you might actually sense the full green ashtray. Vetiver is in there as well, contributing to the ashtray, as well as the hyacinth, getting that dryness that is so, so, so beautiful about Cristal. And I mean, Cristal, if you think about it, it is a dry object in nature. There's nothing wet about it. You know, it refracts light. It's the epitome of stillness and time, and a breakage of light, almost like a diamond. It's kind of just like one step underneath the diamond. Interesting how this little necklace is fully surrounded. Well, they're actually enshrined inside of the resin, so you can see the resin, but there's a ton of crystals in there, and they reflect light like crazy. Now, not with this green screen setting, probably because it has a tendency of reflecting green, and then they appear transparent, but in real light, they keep sparkling like crazy, but they're very dry. So this is a beautiful fragrance for summer, because it is giving the wearer the dry vibes, so it kind of combats that feeling of sweat, perfect for July. But it's also beautiful for those nights if you are in a hot territory climate where the jasmine is blooming at night. You got those indoles blending in with this. It's just majestic, majestic. As you can see, I'm using mine up very quickly because the current version lasts 10 minutes on my skin, and I gotta keep reapplying. Alas, what you want. It's still light years better than most of the perfumes out there, even in its current watered down iteration. I still love it to bits. Now, the next one, I mean, okay, a little bit of a no-brainer, and I've been enjoying this one since it was released, and I'm just obsessed with it. Literally, it's in its pouch. This is our number 3. It's a little bit dusty because I just put this in my bag, and everywhere I go, so it got all. You can see it got all dusty. This little black pouch. But anyway, inside we got our Pebble. They want to. Chanel wants to call it a drop of perfume or the drop of water. Yeah. This is not a drop, y'all. This is a pebble. It's not even an egg. Some people call it an egg. No, it's not an egg. It's a pebble. Call a spade a spade. But it is Chanel number 5 L'eau Eau de Toilette. People keep asking me. I have reviewed this one very much in detail as it was released. And still people underneath that video ask me, is it the same as the 2016 released Chanel number 5 L'eau? I touch base on that in that video, so I don't understand why people keep asking me. I explain in the video very clearly if there is a difference or not between this Pebble bottle that contains the juice and the 2016 Chanel number 5 L'eau. And I feel like sometimes people just don't watch the video and they just want your attention and they just like ask you a question. I'm like, I took the time to make the video to talk about everything, all the details. Please take the time to watch it, you know. And again, then I get asked the same questions over and over again. It's a little bit intense sometimes because it takes up a lot of time. So I'm going to be I'm going to be naughty now, and I'm not going to tell you. Go watch the video. There you go. It's very clearly explained in the video if this is, in fact, the same juice or not. So why repeat ourselves? Okay, now, aldehydes, orange, iris, jasmine in here as well. Every Chanel number 5, but also almost every other Chanel fragrance. Not all of them, but many of them have that DNA Chanel jasmine accord in them. Chanel number 5 is also famous for the May rose, particularly present in the extrait of Chanel number 5, the May rose from Grasse. Here we don't have the Grasse versions, well, maybe partially, but I don't think they have enough to harvest for all the Chanel number 5 being produced. So they do keep it, usually their Grasse harvests are exclusive to the Parfum, the extrait of Chanel number 5. And then for the other iterations, for the other concentrations and the other flankers, if you may, because L'eau is technically a flanker. They do have ingredients coming in from other parts of France or / the world, which technically is understandable if you think about the masses and masses that they produce of these fragrances. I don't think there's enough raw materials and flowers in just Grasse to cover all the needs, especially for Chanel number 5. And then if you add to that all the other Chanel perfumes that also utilize either May Rose or jasmine, or in some cases, even the tuberose from Grasse, there just isn't enough for all of them. Makes sense, right? So anyway, we got orris root in here, a little bit of iris, the oranges, the citruses, very citrusy, aldehydic, fresh, zesty, airy, breezy. This is the breeziest of Chanel No. 5 perfumes. People have been asking me, is it similar to the eau de parfum, the eau de toilette of Chanel No. 5, or the extrait? No. I mean, sure, it has their DNA, but it doesn't have that heft. This is a light, breezy, delicately powdery, floral, citrusy fragrance, which is very, very youthful. You know, to me, perfumes know no gender. Perfumes also know no age. But if you were to ask me, you know, can a very, very young person wear this? Yes, this is extremely youthful, but sophisticated. Any age can wear this, but you're not going to have that issue of, let's say, sometimes for some very, very young kids out there, uh, wearing a perfume like Shalimar that might have a very, very particular amber, vanilla, civety, you know, patchouli-esque accords that are going into that deeper, earthy territory, those might be deemed a little bit maybe too heavy uh, for certain people of a certain age, not because they are mature fragrances, but just because they carry a heft with them that psychologically you have to be able to carry yourself. And some people are just not there yet, maturity wise. And that's not a bad thing. You take the time you take, and you take the time you need to evolve, to become who you are. You know, I know some people who are in their 40s and 50s and they still do not feel hefty enough to pull off Shalimar, for example, or Joy by Jean Patou. Makes total sense to me. You have to be ready for it. You have to be psychologically ready for it because it's a commitment. A perfume underlines not just your emotions, but also your character and where you are in your life, you know, psychologically, but also physically. So choosing the right fragrance is really, really very important. And I do have two videos, well, I have several videos on the topic, but two videos in particular about how to buy perfumes and also how to, you know, wisely purchase them. And then I also have a video on beginners, the beginner selection of fragrances for everybody who's just starting their fragrance journey. And then if you don't want to go too overboard with smelling 2 miles away from yourself already the fragrance, right? So you don't want other people to overtly sense your arrival. Sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. I go through phases. I also have a video about the top 5, or is it top 10, quiet luxury fragrances list as well. So, but when it comes to number 5 low, you definitely can pull this off while being and feeling extremely youthful in your heart and in your mind. That's what this perfume is. It is a promise of spring and summer and gorgeous sunny days ahead. It's an energy booster, makes you feel comfortable, soft, makes you feel special. And plus this little pebble bottle, it's so tactile, it's so beautiful to hold it. I go everywhere with it. I'm obsessed with it, and I mean, used it up quite a bit, and I did purchase a few backups. So, by the way, hashtag not sponsored. None of these were given to me by the brand. I'm not associated or affiliated with Chanel, the brand. I'm just a lover of their fragrances, so I buy them. And since this is a limited edition bottle, and I really, really love the tactile experience of it, and since they did not make it refillable, Chanel, you should have made it refillable because you know you keep talking about sustainability, but then you make something like this and you don't make it refillable, and it just makes no sense to me. Very irresponsible of you, Chanel, in my opinion. Anyway, so also it doesn't have a sticker, you know, like other Chanel fragrances. Most other Chanel fragrances do, so you can't really touch them a lot because you're going to peel off the sticker or make it dirty or damage it. This one is very, very easy to use, and it's very user friendly. Um, and quite frankly, quite frankly, I do believe that a round bottle like this is much more befitting the character of Chanel No. 5 L'Eau than the classical bottle that you get this one in usually, which is the classic Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum bottle. They use the same bottle also for L'Eau, except of gold hardware. You get, well, hardware, not really. Yeah, you do get some hardware. This is hardware, technically. Instead of the gold hardware that you get for the Eau de Parfum, you get the silver hardware for L'Eau. So, having L'Eau in that classic rectangular shaped bottle, sure. I mean, it's a Chanel No. 5 perfume. Why not? But it just feels more right to me to have L'Eau in a rounded shape. Chanel No. 5 L'Eau in a bottle like this. It just makes much more sense. The smell of the perfume is more rounded and soft, not so edgy and shaped off and cut off like a diamond. It's more delicate and smooth. Perfect. Morning, evening, day, night, all the time. Very summery, very breezy, very soothing. That irisy, powdery accord in the dry down turns to orris root and gets a green medicinal vibe to it when you warm up the spot where you sprayed the fragrance after an hour or two have passed. Then you get that green vibe. You might not get it from the get-go if you don't know how to recognize it. Towards the dry down of the fragrance, you can definitely sense that green accord, and it is majestic. When you hit that dry down green accord, you realize, okay, this is a quality perfume, because the good quality perfumes, those are the ones that really deliver in the dry down. And the ones that are not so well formulated and made, it's the dry down where they get all fuzzy, screechy, and very, very chemical in a bad way. Number 4 on my list is a masterpiece that I usually really adore in winter. And here we go. In summer, I am kind of craving it on a daily basis. I can't tell you why. Maybe it's the sandalwood. Hint, hint. Which usually warms up my senses in winter. But I am really feeling the vibe this summer. So we are on an island. And maybe on this island there are forests as well. So maybe we are, or woods. So let's go and find them together. The Bois des Îles of this magical, fictional fantasy island that Bubbles the Bot created. We have Bois des Îles, which literally translated means woods of the isles, of the islands, forests of the islands, or woods of the islands. Ilang ilang, aldehydes, sandalwood, spices, woodsy accord, rose. Sure, there's some powder in here like iris, but it's so 20s. And this is the Eau de Parfum. I do love the Eau de Toilette as well as the Extrait. The Eau de Parfum is rounded off in a nice way. The current version of it, I mean, this is not the newest batch. The newest batches at the moment, as I'm filming this video, begin with a 0, so it's 0XXX. I have a 7501, so this one is a few years old. Oh, it's so bizarre. In winter, it warms my senses up. It makes me feel so nice. My issue with this one, however, if in winter I do get a cold and I start coughing and I get a little irritation, in that area, chest area, then this one makes me cough even more. It irritates me a lot, but not when I'm healthy. So I struggle with this one in winter because I love it so much in winter, but I have to be top-notch healthy, completely healthy. Lungs have to be completely healthy for me to be able to wear this in winter and enjoy it. The second I have a bit of sore throat or a little bit up here, the higher breathing parts of the lungs, if they're a little bit irritated, no way. I spray it on and I cough. It irritates the bejesus out of me. So that's why I initially thought to myself, let me try to enjoy it when I'm, knock on wood, healthy in summer. And let me see if I can enjoy it more thoroughly without it irritating me. And I am. So July really turns out to be a wonderful month for Bois des Îles for me. Like I said, February is usually the month I love to wear this if I'm healthy, and I've noticed that it makes me feel warm, makes me feel fuzzy, makes me feel super happy in winter. It's like a cashmere sweater, really. So I thought to myself, in summer, am I going to overheat wearing it? Is it going to give me weird hot vibes? No, strangely, it doesn't. In summer, more than the sandalwood, I guess the heat outside tickles out the ilang ilang more than the sandal accord, which turns this fragrance into kind of a creamy vibe post shower, post bath. Makes you just feel very, very clean and very soft and very gentle. And so it works for summer. Very breezy in its own way. There's a gentleness to it that just makes me smile. It borderline, IYK. It's not that smell fully because that would be a vanilla smell, but Cabbage Patch Kids, how they used to be scented back in the 80s. And I made a video review of Yop Le Bain, The Bath by Yop. That's a vanilla fragrance that smells one to one to the Cabbage Patch Kids, in my humble opinion. Also, wonderful trip down nostalgia lane. Interesting how in summer, Bois des Îles kind of goes a little bit into that soft baby territory, Cabbage Patch Kid vibe, you know what I'm saying? Not fully. It's different, of course, but it's that clean baby powder vibe that this one emanates for some strange reason in summer, and it really is working for me this year. Loving it to bits. My number 5 is an extrait. I wanted to also have an extrait included in this list because they are becoming rarer and rarer to find, and I don't think enough love is given to the extraits by Chanel, and their latest released extrait is on my list. A majestic tuberose, only in its extrait iteration, however. You see, I'm not a big fan of this one in its eau de parfum or in its essence iteration. I'm still waiting to test out the upcoming low version of this one, which has a berry base. Maybe it's really good for summer. I don't know yet. But for now, my favorite iteration and concentration of Gabrielle would be the Parfum. And I have it here. They print, for some strange reason, they print the concentration here, right at the bottom of the bottle, instead of having it on the label there, on the paper sticker label. But this crackled gold, you see it looks like it's all scratched up. That's done on purpose. It's not scratched up. It's a very beautiful technique of crackling, kind of like gold foil on the sticker paper. And it is just so beautiful. The way that tuberose, again, ilang ilang, jasmine, the way they behave together in here, it is really, really on another level. It's majestic. I mean, it is huge, huge. Shoulder pads, 80s. It's creamy, it's balmy. The flowers but they're huge. We're talking like this, like we're talking genetically mutated flowers, okay? Jurassic Park type of tuberose is in here. It's ginormous. It vibrates. It pulsates. It eats you up alive. It's beautiful. I mean, seriously, so underestimated. And I know it's underestimated for many reasons because a lot of people think, well, I can get the eau de parfum, I can get the essence of Gabrielle for like 1/4 of the price of this really expensive 35 milliliter spray bottle. Yeah, they only sell it in 35 ml spray bottle, not as smaller bottles, so it's very costly. I think by this point, what are we looking at with the price increases? I bought this when it first came out and I stocked up on it at the beginning because I knew the prices were going to go up. So I was lucky enough, I had budget, bought several bottles. So then I stopped kind of keeping track, but I think we're at around about $350 or even more per bottle. Are we getting close to 400? I don't know. But I've received some kind of sad news from this one. Apparently, it's being discontinued from Chanel beauty boutiques. By the way, it's a boutique exclusive, right? So you can't get this at regular perfumeries or perfume shops that carry Chanel fragrances. You can only get this directly from Chanel. However, I've received news from my sales associate that they will allegedly be discontinuing these from the beauty boutiques and will be only selling Gabrielle Parfum on their website. So this concentration is allegedly going to become an online exclusive only. Now, we've seen Dior do this a while ago when Demachy was still at the helm of Dior Perfumes, when he segregated fragrances like Granville from the Collection Privée or Mitza or Au Noir just to online exclusives only, and a few hand-picked Parisian Dior boutiques worldwide, otherwise you couldn't get it. And then Dior Homme, when he reformulated and created his travesty version of Dior Homme, and Olivier Polge's Dior Homme was segregated to only one iteration, which is called now Dior Homme de Toilette L'Original. That one became an online exclusive only, but also Europe online exclusive only. So super, super difficult to get. You could not purchase it in Dior boutiques or shops or beauty counters at all, only online. So Chanel seems to be following suit with this one and seems to be turning it into an online exclusive only for the parfum concentration, not the others, as of now. Well, let's see what the future brings. Oh man, this is so beautiful. I mean, if you are going on some form of summer vacay and you're going to go to a little island like this, and after the sun has set, you want to have the prolonged feeling of joy, of just having enjoyed the summer on your skin, the sun on your skin, the water on your skin, the salt on your skin, and you want to prolong that into the night, into the evening and into the night. That's when I recommend Gabrielle Parfum, because it just really, really is Chanel's version of sunshine in a bottle, summer sunshine in a bottle, and it just keeps emanating light and warmth, sunshine and warmth so intensely as long as you're wearing it. And this is an extrait, so it is powerful. Okay, this projects for hours and hours and hours, and it's really the best of Chanel's tuberose, the best of Chanel's jasmine, the best of Chanel's ilang ilang. I mean, it's just like, if you can afford to treat yourself with a bottle of this, you don't need to spray a lot of it, right? You know, you don't have to go through this bottle in 1 month. You can sparingly use it. Also for special occasions, you will not regret it. If you like Gabrielle already, this thing is a whole other level. It's like Gabrielle in the stratosphere. This is what, in my humble opinion, Gabrielle should have always been from the get-go when the first Gabrielle was released. But alas, we got what we got. And the most awkward ad campaign Chanel ever made with toilet paper. It looked like Kristen Stewart was running around like wrapped in toilet paper. It was just the ugliest, I think, ad campaign Chanel has ever done, in my humble opinion, for the first iteration of the first release of Gabrielle Eau de Parfum. But let's see how the L'Eau, Gabrielle L'Eau, is going to smell. It's about to be released in July worldwide, and I have read that it is berry based. Still, the tuberose is there, the ilang ilang is there, the jasmine is there, but also berries are contributing to this new recipe. I don't know if that is going to, and it's an eau de toilette concentration, so I don't know if that's going to make the perfume more interesting or if it's going to make it a little bit more, I don't know, berries can go either way, right? If the berries are very sweet, it can smell quite synthetic. It can be also bitter berries, which can be quite interesting in combination with the citruses that are opening the fragrance. I don't know. I'm curious to see either way. Of course, I'm going to sniff it. I always sniff every new iteration of any Chanel perfume coming out. But I do believe that the Gabrielle Parfum will forever remain my favorite Gabrielle of the family. It's just really divine. And I'm so glad that Chanel turned this one into a spray, not a splash, because most of their extraits are just splashes. I really, really do wish that they, turned their extraits also into sprays like they do with Chanel number 5. You can still in some countries buy Coco Mademoiselle Parfum 7.5 ml spray, but it's not refillable anymore. You can't buy the vials that are refills. You just have to purchase it full blown over and over again. Not available in the States anymore, however. And for the rest, it's just Chanel number 5 that is available in this extrait 7.5 ml spray version, right? So it's kind of like with Gabrielle, they really wanted to make a consumer-friendly extrait, for Chanel's 35 ml, but because it's 35 ml, it costs quite a bit. So those would be my top 5 Chanel fragrances for the month of July. And in this case, it's 2024 when I'm filming this video. Where's my little necklace? It just shifted. There it is. Our little crystals, there they are. Dangling, sparkling into the future. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, thumb it up and subscribe to my channel. Let me know your favorite Chanel fragrances for the month of July. And until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Take care. Bye.